Welcome. This is They Talk Funny. My name is Paul Ash, and today my guest is the handsome and talented Andrew Albert. Welcome. Ruggedly handsome. That's actually a tagline from your website. Just
The guy who designed the website wrote that, and it was like okay, we'll keep that. That was good, right?
And the website for anyone who's curious is right there. It's andrewalbert.info.
Yes.
Yeah. It was a good tagline. It's a good
Yeah.
tagline.
Yeah. That was very creative. How you been, Paul? Nice to see you.
I've been good. It's as good as can be with the pandemic. I did a 12-hour show on the weekend, which it's I don't know. I'm not bouncing back as fast as I could, but it was
12-hour show, as
yeah.
in comedy?
No, 12 hours of burlesque comedy and
Oh,
just
wow.
general silliness. We did it like it's like a telethon. It's telethon productions. So
Right.
we were raising
You're
money
raising
for
money
Stella.
for more clothes.
Less actually.
Less clothes.
It's called telethon. Telethon
Right.
productions with a little G at the end. Now, okay, Andrew and I have known each other for a long time. For those of you just tuning in, say hello. Just drop a note into the comments to let us know where you're watching from. Andrew is a Canadian American comic. So he's got he can work both sides of the border, but he's been sticking up here. He's originally from New Brunswick. You started comedy in Windsor, is that correct?
Ontario. Yep. Started.
Yes.
I was coming out of university and trying to figure out what to do with my life, not wanting to take things seriously, and it was a terrible time. I wanted to come out and be a radio morning guy, and it was just a horrible time to be doing such a thing because of the Howard Sterns and Don Imuses. All those national programs were eating up a lot of space, right? And you think about that market at that time, those radio guys, that was 3 jobs in every city that was lost. And I remember even one of the profs that I had in Windsor, I took a radio program, and he was like, "This is a bad time to be doing this. There's a lot of really good people out there. Yeah, there's a lot of really good people out there looking for work. This is a horrible time to be trying to be a DJ."
But that was your first time and that was at a Yuck Yucks in Windsor. And when did you move to Montreal? Because that's when I became more aware of you.
Well, I lived in Montreal before university, but I moved back to Montreal when that would have been when I came out of school. Would have been, I guess it was 97, 98.
Okay,
that's when I came back home for and then that's where kind of things got started. I think I'd done 3 comedy sets before I actually came back to Montreal. And I don't know, you must remember Terry Simpson. Remember they had a Free Fall Iguanas?
Yeah.
Terry Simpson, and I don't remember the guy's name that played guitar. And then there was a female in the group too.
See, I was only visiting Montreal until 99.
Because you were still based in Nova Scotia at that time.
97, I was based in Toronto.
Oh, were you now?
Yeah, I spent like a year and a half in Toronto, and then it was either 98, 99 is when I moved to Montreal.
Were you already doing comedy back then?
Yeah,
ahead of that time.
I was. I've done comedy far too long. I don't want to discuss that without a lawyer present. It was I had been visiting Montreal because I was working for the festival, and so that's why I was coming up. And then eventually I said, like, I can't stay in Halifax and do comedy. I have to go anywhere. But I was afraid of my lack of ability to learn French at that point. I decided to move to Toronto, and I spent good 18 months in Toronto.
Mm-hmm.
So.
And then we met back up, and because you say it was you had to leave Nova Scotia, and then you ended up back in Nova Scotia, and I ended up in Nova Scotia.
Yeah. And there was a time, I think you came in after comedy sort of got a restart in Nova Scotia, because there was no comedy when I set foot back in
2002, I think it was. 2001, 2002. You were the deal. You had Gingers. That was a great show.
that was built up from the ground up. Lynn Alex is saying hi, Andrew.
Hey, Lynn.
Yeah, that was built up. Joe Maurizio and myself kind of put in the work with that,
Oh
and the
my
people
God,
at Gingers were great.
I miss those days, those Ginger's days. So
It was
for
only one
anybody,
night a week, but it was we were rock stars.
oh,
That's
it's fucking great, man. Yeah, and that was what started people. I think back to that, and you think about like Picnic Face started there. I was in their first
you
couple
you were you
shows.
were in a yeah you were a proto member of Picnic Face. I mean, Picnic
Hmm.
Face, it was an improv duo with Kyle and Mark, of the big Picnic Face fame,
Hmm.
and then they started doing sketch, and they were doing stand up as well, and but then they expanded into a troupe with Andrew
And
Bush.
made a troupe, and then at first we were called Bear Hug Magnificent.
Really,
For I think that first couple shows was called Bear Hug Magnificent. It was just ridiculous.
my memory's so bad. I know that they were Picnic Face when it was just the duo as well.
Hmm.
So
So anyway, yeah, we and I got a role on a play at Neptune Theater,
that A Few
and
Good Men.
yeah, and back in, and so that's going to be a run for a little bit, and it wasn't like a major role or anything like that. It was kind of an ensemble cast guy, and I ended up quitting Picnic Face, but well, not quitting. It wasn't anything, it was just like, I just don't have time for this, guys. But man, I wish you well, because I had already been in a troupe called Bionic Yahoos, and I remembered how much damn money you make as a 5-person troupe. It's the same fucking money you make as a single comedian. So I was bailing on those shows to do single shows, comedy shows, if I had them. And then anyway,
Yeah,
I
the
was
work
like,
ethic of Bionic Yahoos as well as Picnic Face was really, really heavy. It's Sharon Epic, aka Sharon Armando, is saying hi as well.
hey,
Uh, the Picnic Face was incredibly talented. Bionic Yahoos, I really love that. Sean Beishu, so many amazing talented people, including yourself, were in that.
scene stealing motherfucker, Sean.
His Alanis Morissette impression.
He is a great actor, but the backbone of our, hey man, what's up, Mike? I missed a show last night that Mike was on. I think I was supposed to be on the world's smallest mic, and I was just coming off that working a food guy on the film set, and I was like,
Right.
dude, this is been my week. We were talking about craziness. Sunday, I end on a shoot at 11 p.m. and I was asked, hey, can you work on Monday? And I'm like, yeah, I'm only working Sunday, so Monday, no problem. Start time 4:30. I was like, I'm stupid. So that's how I've started my fucking week, and I work today too. And then I saw your message today, and you're like, "Hey, you were firing her off at 8 o'clock," and I was like, "Oh my god, what have I done?"
This is apologies to anyone who was trying to tune in at 8. We did delay a half hour for Andrew. Lynn Alex is just big happy on hearing all the old names. Now, Bionic Yahoos was not the first troupe you were in, though, because you were in Yikes.
Oh my god, I haven't thought
James
about that
Mirvich,
craziness. And Matt
Patterson,
Boylan and Mike
Matt Boylan.
Patterson.
Yeah.
Yeah, those were insane days. Those were fun. I remember you when you're talking. That was like 98, 99. How fun was that? That was crazy
great.
shows.
There was one show that was the Bionic Yahoos, Yikes, and this band from New York, because Club Zone or Club One, whatever it was called, double booked. And so they had the sketch troops open up, I think, for it. And then when the band played, they had flash pots, and it just licked the ceilings of that like basement venue. That sort of burned into my mind.
That's funny because I don't even remember it. I don't. But yeah, I miss those days are fun. The backbone though. I mean, you were talking about Sean, and I mean, obviously his presence and Vicky was great, but and Ian, but it was Ryan. Man, he was just a fucking machine of writing. Like the guy, it was crazy. Like it didn't make sense. It's like we all have a meeting once a week, you know, we all show up with one sketch and Ryan has a fucking file folder of like the stuff he wrote that week. It was like, man, how do you come up with all this shit? It's insane. He wrote 90% of the stuff.
Yeah, there's a Bionic Yahoo's CD as well.
Yeah, I still have. I seen it at some point. I still have a copy of that kicking around somewhere.
I know I still have my copy as well. Sharon is saying hello to everybody all through, even to Mike. No, this isn't Zoom. We are on a platform called StreamYard, just so everyone knows. Yeah, Mike's letting Sharon know it's StreamYard. It's much more user friendly, less apt to be bombed. That's one of the other things about this.
Oh yeah, what is this with this public masturbation that goes on Zoom? Is that what happens? People hack in and then they're like, "Hey, my penis," and then it's what is this?
There was you know, Monica Hamburg is a Montreal comedian.
Okay.
She does every 2 weeks she has a show called Confined where they talk about a lot of inappropriate stuff, such as you know, different descriptions she finds on porn sites that she finds kind of hilarious. And so they had a bunch of Spanish speakers come in and use the whiteboard feature on Zoom to like draw penises, etc. And she actually felt it was an enhancement to the show.
That's hilarious. Oh, yeah. The Spanish.
Yeah. Where did I say Argentina? So I guess, yeah, it would be Spanish.
Oh, did you say Argentina? For some reason, I heard Spain.
Well, I might have said Spanish speaking, but yeah. So there was a communication error between them all. But this is the things that happen. Now, the Bionic Yahoos have the CD. You had your first CD with warning Canadian content, and then the latest one is Guns and Yoga, and they're both available on your website.
Yeah, and whatever, Spotify and iTunes and all that stuff, right? I actually have a new project that's coming out very shortly. It's been in the works since COVID, but I kind of fell out of love with it. But my sound guy is pushing me really hard to try to get her done. I don't know if you heard that meow. My cat is on fire.
If the cat shows on screen, we win the internet. That's the way it works.
Oh, I know. Duty, get over here. Cat, come here. Yeah, so for I don't know if a lot of the viewers know, but like is a lot of artists, like when you get something on XM, like that's mailbox money is the easiest money you're ever going to find in your life, right? So I figured, well, we could come up with an album, and I wanted to call it radio edits, but it's such a common term that they actually wouldn't let me use it.
Right.
Radio edits. Because that's exactly what I was, just no nonsense. Didn't it's not about the art. It's not about new material.
2 to 3 minute long jokes.
Well, no, the radio edits. Yes, it is that. But also what we were doing is we car horn honked an F-bomb, or you know what I mean? We edited it.
You bleeped it. Yeah.
Bleeped it. So it could end up on radio, but what I was hoping for is that it would also end up on like Laugh USA online. Yeah, because that's the easy money that you catch in this business. And with COVID hitting and then everything dried right up, I was like, I need a COVID project. Let's put this together. You know, so that's still coming out soon. My guy's just finishing it up right now.
What was the material recorded?
We probably used 2 bits that never got used, but it was almost like using a best of album. But all it was, the whole project was just to try to get stuff on the American, Laugh USA, right? We'll see what happens.
There's now, okay, I wanted to mention your writing chops and the fact that you were in sketch troops and you were a contributing writer to them. As well as your acting chops, because the show is a lot about writing. So what is your writing habits when it comes to writing comedy?
You know, it's been thin, man, because I find uh, for comedy writing, for how I get her done is I think of the premise. It's not a very great way for young comics to, like, if anybody wants to do comedy and you're like, hey, just bring it up on stage, it'll be funny, but when you've been doing comedy for 24 years, like, you understand how that rolls, right? You understand. So if I have the premise, I have the idea, and then your mind is rolling. So, I mean, Paul, like, your mind is moving so fast. You're in it, like, if you were a guitarist, people always would refer to it as the zone, right? You're in the zone. And then that's usually where I write. And then you go back to the hotel room and then you're like, oh, that was great. And I get that. And then you make those mental notes and then bring it up the next show. And then, fuck, you have 3 more tags now, and it's like, then you're expanding that bit, and then you got a bit, right?
Are you recording at any point in this? Are you recording these live shows? This
I really didn't do that enough. I really kind of wish I would have. You know what I mean? Because I'd probably have more material.
I was about to ask you, how much material do you think you've lost?
Oh, probably a bunch. Yeah, probably a bunch of those beautiful nights where you're like, that was amazing. And then you go out with all your friends and like, right, that was amazing. And then the next day you're like, yeah, I'm an idiot. Yeah, I think I always just found it hard to go back and watch the tape. You know what I mean? Like, I really, yeah. So it's kind of,
sometimes it's hard. Sometimes you want to watch the bad ones though, so you can figure out what went wrong.
yeah.
Mike Mash is saying he's curious to know if you think your sketch experience has shaped your stand-up in ways that makes it stand apart from most purely stand-up comic types.
I don't know. I didn't do, Mike, I didn't do sketch for a terribly long time. I think the sketch helped me, probably helped me be comfortable on stage. Certainly, like, it helped that. And I also I got into theater after I got into sketch and stand up. And that's where I think it helped me with the acting, with it. Cause the bouncing off other people is a fun trick to have, So I guess in that regard, it probably made me in tune for crowd work, which you've got to do for the 3 years or 4 years when you're only fucking hosting before you become a headliner. You know what I mean? Because you get stuck in levels. Everybody talks about, hey, the comics coming up the comedy ladder. Well, your ladder is, your first rung is 5 minutes, and the second rung is, you might get 15, and then the third rung is 7 on a weekend, and then 15 on a weekend, and then it's a slow, steady climb. But then all of a sudden, you're on fucking rung of host. At first it feels like you're never going to not open or get beyond opening. And that's a couple of years. It's like you're opening all the time. And then they always want me to go first. This sucks, like, and then you're a host for a few years. But I think it makes you bulletproof. It makes you good. Because I mean, you probably remember this too, Paul. Like, I mean, the first time that you do 40 minutes, I was, what I did? I was in Halifax. It was the club that they
Jokers.
opened up. Jokers. Yeah. So it was like to compete against Yuck Yucks. They fucking signed me on. Of course, Yuck Yuck signs me on Sunday because they didn't want any competition, or they just want to keep all the comics in their basket. But what had happened is I remember doing that first 45 minutes, and I was like, I am going to have to talk to the crowd for 10 minutes. I was like, that was part of my strategy. Like, I fucking just didn't have enough. It didn't feel like I had enough material. I mean, over those years, I probably did, but you just don't trust yourself enough. But yeah.
I did a tour with Chuck Byrne.
Mm-hmm.
He showed up at a place, and
he's surly Chuck.
I love Chuck. Chuck is great, and he's great to be on the road with as well.
Mm-hmm.
But we did a show. I probably should have mentioned the place, because we show up and the guy because we weren't carrying the contracts, and the internet wasn't as big a thing at the time. And
This
he
is
says, "Oh,
Halifax, or this
this
is
we were based
Nova
out of
Scotia.
yeah, this is in Nova Scotia, and we were doing a tour around, a bunch of one nighters everywhere." And he's going, "Yeah, so it's a 2.5 hour show." And we go, "What, 2.5 hours?" It's just me and Chuck. He
What?
says, "None of our shows are 2.5 hours. It's either an hour and a half or 2 hours." And he says, "Oh, it's a 2 hour show. It's a 2 hour show."
Yeah, yeah,
Found
but
out,
you mean like more like an hour and a half, like not even 2 hours.
no,
Nobody
not
would
even
do
two
that. Like,
hours. No,
come
uh,
on,
but the yeah. So the guy was basically trying to get more entertainment for what he paid.
as
Uh,
if.
and so it's just me and Chuck on the show. And I said, "Chuck, what do you want me to do?" And he goes, "Just do what you can, and then I'll just fill the time. Don't worry." And so I went out there and I had a blast. It was a big ballroom in a convention center. The people were there to laugh, and I saw Chuck flashing a light from the side, and I've done maybe half my material at this point. And I look at my watch, and I've been on stage for 45 minutes, so
When you're in the flow, it
yeah,
that time disappears, and then and when stuff's going shitty, it's a complete opposite.
opposite.
I when you're doing a corporate gig, hey Nick, how you doing? She's a sweet girl.
She
What a
is,
wonderful, speaking of acting teachers, what a wonderful human being she is.
and she has
Um,
the improv gym. I interviewed her on the Two
yeah.
Guys Eight Eyes show. Yeah,
Oh, right on. Yeah, I did the improv gym with Lenny.
Lenny's
That's
a good guy
and
too.
I saw that.
He's the other
Yeah,
guy. Yeah.
yeah, he is the other guy. 8 eyes. I don't know if you guys have two potatoes or what the story is, but where
No,
are all
it's
these eyes?
two guys with glasses. So
Ah,
there's
right on. Okay. That's so stupid sometimes. I didn't even realize you both had glasses.
you know what?
Two
Unfortunately, I'm
guys
not
with
wearing
eight
mine right
eyes. I was
now.
like,
Two
are they
guys, eight
counting
eyes.
orifices? I don't even know what they're doing. I don't even know what they're doing. But I was
Counting
saying about
orifices. That's your next CD.
that's counting orifices. Um, yeah, I was saying that when time flies by, I can remember a couple of years ago doing a corporate Christmas in Calgary, and I think I was about, I think I was about 4 minutes in, and I remember it was a bank. They were co-op, like a co-op bank or a credit union rather. Sorry, credit union of Calgary. And I remember the front table was the big wigs and the HR and the lady that, and I mentioned homeless people right off the top. And then, you know what I mean? Like, and then I'm looking over and I remember seeing the lady giving me one of those. And then I remember seeing her grabbing her phone and standing up. And I know she was making a call regarding me. And I want to tell you, I'm 5 minutes into a 45-minute set. And wow,
Crush the spirit kind of thing.
you're because you start self-editing in your head, and then you're and that 4 minute bit that you usually rely on for a big pop, it's going to be great, it goes by in 38 seconds and you're like, oh, you just dry up and you got nothing else. It was the worst, man. It was the worst.
I don't want to say who it was. I did a Christmas show for it was two companies in a bar in Bridgewater, and it was me and a headliner, and the bar was L shaped. It was in a motel, and so one company was over there, one company was over there, and I think it might have been just one of the companies, but it might have been both the companies. We're told that their Christmas bonus was this show,
Oh my god.
and we
Mark
started
Sauvé booked
early.
that?
Hmm?
Did Mark Sauvé book that?
Not saying anything.
Oh
So
shit.
Dan Allaire is saying, "Hey, it's Dan Allaire. Hey, Dan." He's saying, "Hey, fellas, good to see you."
Hey, Dan, I just missed a phone call about my time on set tomorrow.
Oh,
Oh, well, keep talking.
yeah.
Fill the time. Fill the
Fill
time.
the time. Fill the time.
Talk to Dan.
The headliner went up to take a shower. I just went up, dropped off my luggage, and went down and started early because they had a dinner and had been an open bar was part of the Christmas bonus.
Right.
So they were pretty toasty, and I had some joke in the beginning about male stripper cheesecake, the realistic man, I think was the line, and they a woman got up out of the audience and came up and started like to try to disrobe me, uh, and that was the start of the show, and it was a bit of a hammer fight, but I got them, I got them laughing, I got them in control. We got it going. It was still, you know, they were very talky and it was a very interactive. Uh, I did the time. The headliner was there. He's watching all of this. I could see him at the back, his eyes kind of wide, doing this. But I hit my time and I got a laugh and I brought him up. But I had worked with him enough to know that when he had 15 minutes left, he had a joke in which he would look at his watch.
Oh my God. Come on. Who is that? Was that Glenn?
No,
Damn it. I know
he was
who
writing
this
for
is.
this hour at the time, and the name actually kind of escapes me. I think its first name was Dylan, but I'm trying to remember. From BC,
Oh, okay.
and so we're doing the show, and at about I think he was only about 20 minutes in. I saw him. He did the joke, and he went and he looked at his watch,
He
and
went,
just the
oh,
shoulders
fuck.
slumped.
This is going to be a long show.
And that's when he
For
started with
him.
the crowd
Yeah.
work, and like
Yeah.
he missed half of my like talking, so he ended up like, you know, a lot of the crowd work stuff that I had done, he started redoing, and it just it was so.
Oh, of course. That's always the funniest, eh? When the opener, when the closer doesn't see what the opener does and then just
Yeah.
repeat everything. Yeah.
He
What's with
needed
that
to take a
shirt?
shower
Oh,
again.
fuck. We were.
Yeah. But that was an interesting show. Now, okay, so you got your time. Now, how would you describe? Because you mentioned you had that problem at that show. How would you describe your onstage persona to people?
I think I've always been a little bit of a smiling prick. You know what I mean? Like the kind of guy that you know what I mean? Like you didn't want to laugh, but we're kind of on his side, you know, like that. Just
The likable asshole sort of
likable asshole. Yeah. Yeah.
Uh,
I believe I've obviously toned down in my later years. You know, I really just it was Majumner that called me this 20 years ago. He was like, "You're a button pusher. Like you're just a button pusher." And I mean, we all like to push buttons. That's what it is. But I mean, when you after 15, 20 years of doing this, you start to realize that the money isn't not pushing all the buttons. You can just push some select buttons, and there's another zero at the end of the paycheck after that show. It's like if you want the other zero, you just can't fucking mash all the buttons. You gotta stop hitting the buttons. I remember back when I used to do shows with you, like when we started in Montreal at the Comedy Works and shit. I remember having a bit about I wonder if there are any eating disorders in the third world, like just a bunch of ladies with hungry bellies going, my hungry belly just isn't big enough. Like, what am I thinking? You know what I mean? And I remember doing a show with Sugar Sammy. He was hosting. It was a disaster. He did great. Everybody loved him. He was the star of, it was at Concordia. Like he was a superstar already. Like, and he hosted it, right? So he walks off the stage to bring me on, and people are following him. I'm saying, "Excuse me, pardon me," to get to the stage. It was a fucking disaster. And then I'm like, "Okay, bring out the third world eating disorder joke." Hey, bad decision, Andy. Bad decision. I remember seeing this girl looking at me, and she clearly, I could hear her. And I saw her, and her arms are crossed, and she delivered the line, "You suck." And I was like, "Oh man," it's like a shotgun blast, the shotgun blast of the ego.
Nick is saying it was a pleasure with me. Andrew, you are a lovable nut. But do tell, how do you come up with the material? Do you test it on an audience before you get to the stage? You had mentioned that you do a lot of the writing on stage,
Hmm.
uh, uh, but where do you get your premises? Maybe
The
that would be.
premises is just life. That's living. You know what I mean? Like, and that's another thing I feel we haven't really touched on pandemic so much, but I mean, I feel that that's stifled me to a certain degree. I mean, of course, there's pandemic material, of course, right?
Mm,
It's going to
yes.
come. There's you just adapt. But I think living is where I write, and then being on stage and being in the flow is where I'm presented, and then that's where it's just like it's just the train that starts moving, and it's just the creation like happens. But man, especially those first 3 months when nobody was really doing Zoom shows or whatever, we are all just sitting at home like, all right, well, I guess we're not doing comedy now. Like, man, those are rough, eh?
The Zoom shows or those 3
The
months.
Zoom shows can be rough, but you have to embrace them. And it's, you know, have you enjoyed it? I mean, have you had some that you've really enjoyed?
I've done very few. I've liked them. I've got good responses written to me, but
Hmm.
at the same time, I don't feel the audience.
It's tough to scream into the void, right? It's tough
Yeah.
to like when you don't hear the laughter, it's like the tap just got turned off, right? So that's why for Zoom, I always ask people to turn on their mics and
Turn on
you
their
know
mics. Yeah.
But then again, you get, Cheryl, give me another beer. All of a
Yeah.
sudden you're,
And it's
you're
full volume. So it's
full volume. Yeah, yeah, it's full. Give me another beer from the fridge. And it's like all of a sudden his window is next to yours. He just hijacked you. But yeah, I mean, you gotta I actually feel it was as of late, I only really started to embrace these shows.
Mhm.
And it's almost like you got to attack it like Mike Patterson's attitude, like, hey, whatever, man. It's kind of like just enjoy it, like and just have as much fun as you possibly can. And I've actually had some real fun ones, and there's actually some money coming in from Zoom now.
Yeah.
And my big pivot has been doing online wine events. I'm doing dude,
You're a sommelier, so
I'm, I,
for
yeah,
those
yeah,
who don't
I,
know, he's not just a comedian, but a sommelier as well.
yeah, during my years of comedy, it was actually when I was out in Halifax, I picked up a job at a wine store, nice wine store. And then I moved up and they were, they paid for my starting my courses. And then I switched to another store, a competitor, and then they continued the courses. And then I moved out west and took a side job at a wine store, and they gave me the ability to do a completely different accreditation. So I actually have two fucking designations as wine asshole. I am complete wine snob.
So it's
And
Andrew Albert W.A. Is that?
yeah, WA, wine ass assistant actually.
Okay.
um but man, it's great. It really helps pay the bills, and it's a fun night for people, because I actually have been enjoying them at times more so than the comedy, because if there's silence, I can keep describing, I can keep talking, we can keep talking about the area or whatever, and you just don't take it so personally. You know what I mean? Like when there's silence and you're come to the end of a bit, you're like, "Ooh, I wrote that," and there's nobody's, you know, if you want to talk about Nebbiolo, I'll talk about the Italian wines all day long. Let's do that. Like it's easy and then I'm able to fill in with a little spicy wine, not tons of wine humor, but I throw in some jokes in between, and that's where being a
You know
host.
your craft, and that
Yeah,
gives you a little bit of personality for the people who are watching,
absolutely. It's a
and
lot
puts
more
you head above. Yeah.
fun than any wine tasting anybody's ever had, because as far as I know, there are no other comics that are sommeliers. I don't know of any.
There you go. Now, you actually had a role on a French TV show
That
as
was
a wine expert, was it? Or
No, I was I was just the Anglophone gay barista. I was the partner of the guy at the coffee shop. It was like it's funny, I've never even seen those shows. I have a DVD somewhere of that. It was called Rural, such a hard word to say. Rural,
Yeah.
rural.com. Rural.com. They had one season, and it was there was I think there was a Montreal actor on there. I might have been his name is Joel Cool. His last name is actually Cool. Do you know Joel?
That's familiar.
I think it's a pretty big deal.
Yeah,
I think it's a pretty big deal out here.
I got my UDA stagiaire, but I mean, my French is still, after all the years I've been here, it's
I know.
pretty crap.
Me too, man.
So
me too.
But I did get a speaking role on a French film.
Yeah, good for you.
Yep.
As the Anglophone guy, that was the role that I had. No,
I had the role of a German sex tourist.
Ah, that makes sense.
So Deutsch jetzt, yeah? Bitte.
Wunderbar.
Sorry for creeping out anyone out there who speaks German. There's so you all right. So a lot of your writing has come from life, and that's sort of been held back. You've been writing some pandemic jokes.
Yeah.
You've been doing the Zooms.
It's a 15, 20 minutes on pandemic stuff.
That's actually probably more than I have on the pandemic stuff. It's just but
maybe I exaggerated. 10, 15. I open on that shit.
Yeah. Yeah.
But it's fun. I mean, because that's everyday life. It's what we're living right now, right? It's just...
We're killing Lynn Alex, by the way.
I'm glad. I like that cat. It looks like it needs to... Yeah, that is a very interesting cat. That's creepy. I think that's... What was the cat's name in Pet Sematary? Church. But that's when Church comes back from the dead right there. That looks... cat stuff.
All I remember is the song by the Ramones, Pet Sematary.
Speaking of Pet Sematary, did you see the remake?
I did not.
You got to check this out.
Guy.
I love the horror movies.
The cat's name is Bananas.
That looks bananas.
So I imagine Bananas has thumbs. That's all I they've got
I
thumbs.
think it looks like Banana has a thumb up its ass in that photo, which is bananas. Let's be real.
So we've sort of touched on this a little bit with how the past year has like affected you in the industry. Because did you have like tour dates lined up? How much stuff did you have to cancel?
Oh, buddy, I'm in the last few years, I've been very fortunate, and I'm booked. In the last few years, I've been booked 6 months out. I've been booked 4 to 6 months out, solid, always. So when March happened, I was into August. I was planning. Oh, I had everything planned. Thank God I hadn't. There was a Western, there was Eastern, there was everywhere. It was everywhere. Like I would always do, where it's when I go West, I stay for 3 weeks and then hit Thunder Bay on the way, bouncing home. And all the Mondays and the Wednesdays and the Thursday night offs that are booked on the small shows that pay $50 or $100, and you all of that, man. That was right till August. I was booked. July, August, solid.
And how many days were you on the road in, say, 2019?
That was 48, 49.
Weeks?
Not days necessarily, but like weekends of booked gigs.
Yeah.
I was in the high 40s, 48 weekends. That was solid, right? And I remember hearing a musician say something about that, like how, oh God, we were booked like 48 weekends that year. And I was thinking, oh fuck, so was I. But I really enjoyed it.
Yeah, but you're not trapped with the same 4 guys the entire time.
Imagine in a farty van.
Rooms. Yeah. Oh.
Yeah, that's horrible. We're driving to Saskatchewan, but that's what you do. You know, you go, you catch a corporate gig where they're like, hey, we'll pay you, in the, with 3 zeros. So you're like, okay, you caught my attention, and you get a good paying gig, and then you're like, okay, well, I'll line up that weekend before, and then I'll hit the agents, and then maybe they'll find me on something on the Thursday or the Saturday on that, and then I'll do the other club that following weekend, and then you go out somewhere for 3 weeks, and you got all buddies, and then you fill in the Tuesdays.
Yeah, fill in the Tuesdays and enjoy the time. That's yeah.
It's good times and good people.
All of that went away in 2020, and you did the fast pivot. You've done some of the Zoom shows. You've been working on film sets.
Yep.
As well.
Just jumped on those recently. I was actually really not excited because I think the fucking fear, the pandemic fear kind of has been weighing on me, and then now it's like, it's not like I'm listening to the like masks or you're all sheep, you sheeple, like I'm not there, but it is, a little nerve wracking. The working on set. I'm working on 3 different sets this week. I went from.
You've had to have like 3 different COVID tests.
No, that's the problem. I did have 2. Okay. But the set is one of those sets is an Actus gig. And then I'm talking to the production manager, but it's run pretty tight, but it's not run tight like the NBC set. Because with the NBC set, I'm behind plexiglass, and you know what I mean? Like it's really fucking run tight. This Quebec shoot where I was like, hey, so I'm going to jump on that, the shoot, they were offering me actually X number of days. They were actually to be a craft assistant, which is not a very sexy job at all. But right now, I'd rather fill my weekdays with something, right? So I was like, yeah, do I need to get scheduled for a COVID test? And she's like, we don't have budget for that. I was like, oh my God, this is where COVID's going to be. This is where COVID is. But you think about it.
Yeah, it was a UDA set that I almost walked off because like people pulling down masks to kiss. It was
Paul. I was on set today, and I'm the craft boy running the food and then I'm realizing I'm handing sandwiches out to people going, each one of these people is just approaching me, and here we are. But you know what? I thought about it last night, and I was like, imagine being a cashier. That's all day long. You know what I mean? Like, and that's when I told myself, I'm like, just chill out on the fear. And we have masks. I'm washing my hands. I'm in craft anyway, so I'm dealing with food anyway. I'm washing my hands constantly. I'm sanitizing on the way in, sanitizing on the way out. Whatever. Did I touch a doorknob? You know what I mean? Like, yeah, but I mean, I've watched. You can only be so careful, man. And I didn't want. I'm trying not to let the fear, run you.
Now, okay, you are a very healthy looking individual, but you have some underlying health issues or have in the past. Is that?
I have monstrously high cholesterol. That's
right. But that doesn't put you into the immune suppressed or immune.
No, I don't have like Adam Delory had like a heart valve problem. It's not like I have a heart problem. I just have wicked high cholesterol. It's a hereditary thing.
Yeah. I've been very careful because I have a roommate who's diabetic, and he's over 50, and he's also a cancer survivor. So his immune system has been
severely compromised. So it'd be very scary. I mean, do you know anybody that's have you had any friends? Yeah.
I've known a few people. There was a comic in Toronto who had it. There's
Kate. Kate Davis.
I didn't hear that Kate had it.
Yeah, Kate had it early on. She had it like in March.
Okay.
Like right at the beginning. But Stu Hughes got it pretty bad. Everybody was he put on a festival. I was actually supposed to be out there, and I was booked to be out there. I booked Edmonton while I was out there. I booked Calgary, and I was supposed to be out there for that week in November. 8 people at the show got COVID, and 4 of them were comics, man. I was gonna be there.
Chris Fonseca was on this show, and one of the openers that he used to work with a lot, a guy in his 30s died.
It's scary, man. Stu ended up hospitalized. Dale Ward is another comic out in Calgary, ended up hospitalized. So funny, not funny at all. And his name is Joe King. It's his stage name. Yep. Joe, he also ended up hospitalized. And one of my best buds out there, Nor Kidwai, he ended up just having a shitty flu.
Right.
But 3 of the 4 comics that I know that were on that show were hospitalized. Dale had asthma. You know, it just sounds horribly scary.
A musician friend of mine in Buffalo is now going to be on blood thinners for the rest of his life because he's at risk of blood clots from it, and he does get pain in his right arm on a sort of regular basis. And he had it like last summer, and he still has these effects.
Yeah, you hear about these long haulers, they refer to it as just like kind of a lingering sickness and fatigue that people have to deal with. I'd rather just not. So I'm trying to be as careful as I can, man.
Yep. And Nick is laughing at bananas. How has your comedy work served your acting career?
It actually hasn't, Nick. It has done the fucking opposite. I remember back in Nova Scotia, I was supposed to be the Alliant guy. And then they wanted me to come in and do some comedy one Saturday morning. And seriously, Paul, we were talking about Ryan earlier. I brought in the cleanest shit I could give them. Like, they wanted to see, like, and I was like, hey, and I could help you guys like write, you know, the ideas for the commercials. This Alliant guy ended up being that, you know who it is, Paul, that actor, Kelly Peck. So he was the Alliant guy. He's the face on the bus. Alliant, here for you. You know, like he did all the commercials, did all the voice work. I think the gig was worth like $100,000 for him a year, right? And it runs for 4 or 5 years. Plus, your time is open to do everything else because there's not, you know, like, I mean, you got
most of it can be knocked out in a couple weeks.
Yeah. Dude, you're doing 2-3 radio commercials a week, and the TV commercials every month, and the billboards, and the this and the that. Anyway, I was supposed to be the Alliant guy. Man, they were so mad at me. I remember my agent, Brindle. She was your agent too, wasn't she?
Brindle, yeah.
Brindle and Bob are the best. Brindle calls me on Monday morning, and she says, "What the fuck did you do on Saturday?" Like, no joke. I left there beaming, man. I remember I had a show in St. John, New Brunswick. I think it was with, Shane I want to say, no, it was with Vancouver comic, Brett Martin. It was with Brett Martin and another big pot smoker. It might have been Casey Corbin, something like that. Anyway, I remember going out to that show. I mean, full of piss and vinegar, man. I was like, I just nailed that. And Brindle calls me on Monday, and she's like, what's his name? I can't even remember his name. It was one of the guys that was involved with the selection process. It says, you will never work in this town again. It's exactly what they said. Yeah, I was like, I have no idea what went so wrong. But I find I don't know. I don't know if the comedy has. It's probably helped. You know what it's helped? If anything, it's helped with confidence. I think if you can make a room full of grumpy people bust out laughing, you could hopefully do anything, you know?
Yeah.
So that's probably what it is. It's just confidence. Fake it till you make it.
Fake it till you make it. There's also, you know, when you have a role, you can be introduced as that guy who you've seen there, right? Because Battlefield Earth, I've introduced you several times as being.
So many times I've heard that, right? I mean, who gets to have a credit right? Like that.
Yeah.
The one of the worst movies ever done. One of the biggest
But it's a
flops of
famous
its time.
movie.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's famous. It's famous for being bad, but it's famous. But um, yeah. So that's something. Just I've written a joke about the fact that the stuff most of the acting gigs I have are not comedy related. Like
Right.
I have yeah.
I never get that shit. I never get that. We want somebody funny. I never get those.
When I first moved back to Montreal, I still had the long hair, and people go, "Oh, he's a comedian. He's going to be another Mike Patterson." And I'm not that wacky guy. I'm
Mhm.
different. And but
Mike
it was
is
so
that wacky guy.
he is that wacky guy, and it was like it was what everyone expected from me when they're being sent, because they're looking for a Mike Patterson guy, so they send me, but they don't send me for the kind of roles that I would probably fit
Tell us your
for.
best joke. Tell us your best joke, right? Jackass.
Now, what do you think this is going to mean for the future? Do you like? I mean, we're not out of the woods yet.
Did you hear that cough? I was on set today. Uh-oh. No,
It takes a little longer to come in, though.
we're certainly not out of the woods, man. I think fuck, when are we going to get back to theaters, Paul? Like, when are we? No, I'm not talking the Lego opening movie theaters. I'm talking like real live theater. Like, when is that going to happen
When's
again?
the Nest reopening? When's
Broadway? Bigger than the Nest. I'm talking Broadway. I'm talking 1,000 people in the seats. When's that going to happen again? Holy shit. Hopefully sooner than later. But I wonder, man, how long is it going to linger? It's
the majority of Canadians. I think we're still on track. The majority of Canadians who want it will have their first shot of vaccine by Canada Day. That's sort of the goal.
I love how they're always positioning it with like something nationalistic, right? And Legault said for Quebec, of course, it was by St. Johnny Baptist. You know, it's like we're just attaching it
a week
to
earlier, just to
to
it's
just
piss with
bullshit.
the
But
ROC. But it's
let's hope. I know my parents got theirs this past week. Finally, they're well into their 80s. You know, like they should have had it. Seems like a long time ago, but they're in New Brunswick, so that's kind of a have-not province.
Yeah.
But they certainly did lock down pretty hard. I quarantined in New Brunswick. I attended the festival this year for Hubcap.
The Hubcap.
I did. There was only 3 on the English side. There was only 3 of us that attended because they weren't sure if we were gonna. Well, at first I was expecting to be in a bubble, right? I was expecting not just roll into with big spikes. I was going to be in the bubble with big spikes on the outside. Like, hey guys,
it's the sequel to Bubble Boy.
But I ended up quarantining with my parents, and holy fuck, man, I hadn't seen them in a year. And
did you bring some brownies for your mom?
I did actually. And I left. She actually called. She actually called me. For those of you that don't know, the brownie mom joke is it's a true story. One of my mom ate a pot brownie once, and she actually sent me a message the other day. I totally forgot it was there because I did bring a brownie, put it in the freezer, and every now and then when I was just about to kill myself, I go to the freezer and like just have a little nugget. I'm gonna be watching sports upstairs. I just go upstairs but the layout of the place is insane because it's like I'm right above. I would be on a little, almost like it's just another little open level. It's like a 2-story ceiling with an open. It's almost a loft. It's a loft living room that they have above their fucking living room, and my dad can't hear, so the TV's on full blast right below me anyway. So it's like, holy Christ, I can't even hear the program I'm trying to watch. It was just insane. It was insane because they didn't know if Moncton was going to be able to actually at the time possibly do some shows, but also go virtual on some shows. So, and then I'm thinking, well, dude, I get there, I'm in the bubble, I can go to Nova Scotia, I'll book I'll book some shows with the Yucks guys, Francois, well, no, he's in Halifax now.
He's in Halifax now.
So Nova Scotia, he's actually him and Ian Black are actually looking into opening the Yucks in Halifax right now. And guess where they're going to put it?
Did the one in the Weston close?
They've shut her down. Yeah. And guess where they're going to put it? The Seahorse. Downstairs from Shoe Shop.
In my dad's time, that was a gay bar.
Well.
Yeah, but it went through every transition.
It was a cool show bar when we were there. Like, I mean, it was a decent, they had bands.
A lot of posts. A good band place, but yeah.
It's actually fixed now. They've been doing shows. Ian's been doing shows downstairs there for quite some time.
Oh, okay.
For the last couple of years, I think. Toothy. I think they were involved with the Toothy Moose, but Toothy Moose anyway. It used to be upstairs, now it's downstairs. Yeah, but now it's downstairs, and what we used to be the Seahorse.
Right.
And they've opened up the area. Like it's a little different. Still smells like pee, but it's a little different.
Port cities.
Right? Rough cities.
So what is your hope though for the future? Do you think that we're going to have a slow reopen this year, or do you think we're going to be closed for another year or so?
I think it's going to be, I would say, probably another year of the touch and go that we've been on. Oh, Ottawa's open, Montreal's open but now and who cares what I think? I'm not an expert on any of this shit, but I mean, right now with the schools opening, we can go to theaters, but you can't go to a comedy club or go to a bar or eat in a fucking restaurant, like screw the theaters, like let people support some. I think all the restaurants, what's going to happen? Every restaurant is just going to change names. It's just all going to, everybody's going to tell their landlord, yeah, fuck you and your rent. We're bankrupt. Okay. That's what it is. We're bankrupt now. And they're just going to take off the sign and put it on another restaurant. And they're just going to switch. Everybody's just going to switch locations. That's what's going to have to happen.
Yeah.
Everybody's hurting so bad. It doesn't even make sense. And I don't understand how it sounds, and thank you for the government, because there was whatever it was, what did they give us? 14 grand to stay home at the first. I've never had so much disposable income in my life. It doesn't even make sense. I'm not spending any. And with the Zoom calls and the wine shows and the residual checks and the whatever, it doesn't even make sense.
Do you think any of that will continue after? Do you think, because so many people, I've invested in some technology, I've learned new skills.
Yep.
That Battlecom show I now do online.
Oh, that's
doing
great.
These wine shows online.
Yep. No, I think that's here to stay, because I think that way people can see things on a global, you know what I mean? Like you can reach a lot of people, it would seem. Obviously, time zones are a bit of consideration.
Yeah,
but
it's also when it's online and people can have the chance to replay later, etc.
Absolutely. I think that's still gonna, but that also scares me because I was on set today, and there was a bunch of kids on set. It was this French show, and we're shooting in the right off the Big O. There's that Maurice Richard Stadium, and every kid you look at is this kid. Every kid, and every adult, right? We're all just staring at it. You know what I mean? All of everything we need is right there. Are we so connected? We're absolutely fucking disconnected right now. And what happens to live entertainment? Do people just go, live entertainment? I can watch.
Oh, I've got that app.
That app, or a $200 million movie that got done. I can watch it anytime I want on Netflix. Like I'll just, who needs to go to the movies? Who needs to go to the theater? But I think, you know what? After this in 1 year when everybody's wants to be vaccinated. I love how everybody says that. Everybody that wants to be vaccinated, we're not telling you have to get vaccinated. We're just saying everybody that wants it, everybody that gets vaxxed. Because the other motherfuckers
point at you with their phone saying they're going to be able to track me if I get vaccinated.
Yeah, right. There's a microchip in everyone, and also, well, they will be able to track you because everybody's going to get a stamp in their passport, so that's going to be a thing too.
Yeah,
that's gonna, and I don't give a shit. I will have a stamp in my passport, but I think there's going to be a huge demand. I was having this conversation the other day, but then again, on the other side of the coin, where does the fear go, right? Are people still going to just come out of this with that shell shock? Or is it going to be like the roaring 20s, right? Like after the first pandemic. The first pandemic. That was the first time the virus took over. Not the first, won't be the last. But after the 1918, right? Here come the roaring 20s. Like people got locked up for a couple of years and everybody's sick and it got crazy. But then when shit got back to normal, it got real. So we might see a huge scene in bands and bars and comedy and, live stuff. And that we want to, like, man, wouldn't it be so good to be, with your hands in the air to watching a band, you're shoulder to shoulder with people and it smells like piss and beer and it would be so good.
Your nose is very much attuned to piss, I've noticed.
Apparently, yeah, I'm picking up a lot of urine. Must be the cat. That's the cat box.
Now, all right. There's definitely a reason to believe that hopefully that when this is over, we'll still have the online entertainment, but people are going to want to interact with each other. And the Roaring 20s is been given as an example so much.
I think business is going to latch on to this shit. Yeah. This is going to be a big business model from now on. Think of the rent, and people, and this made a lot of businesses realize, like, what? All 600 employees are getting shit done at home.
Yeah. So let's scale down that business. That would be, that would be so much. I never thought of this. You just kind of blew my mind on an aspect, because I know so many companies are going to be happy to have people working from home because they don't have to have the floor space. But what will that do to cities that have lost so much landscape to business offices? People would be living and thriving downtown.
I mean, a lot of people downtown
have moved out to the suburbs just because of the fact,
or trying to, if they can afford it. Because right now, I mean, I don't want to be. I mean, I'm not. I'm lucky. We're in a typical Montreal upstairs, downstairs duplexy, and there's no alley between us and the top of the street. You know what I mean? Like, it's a typical Montreal house, no, Montreal apartment. But I had friends that are in the 28th floor downtown Toronto.
Yeah.
Ugh. Like, no thanks, man. Imagine you get home, you go do groceries and you got to wait for the elevator because it's only one at a time. Like, you got to be shitting me. The waste of time. And that's why everybody is flocking towards the suburbs. Everybody that had grass didn't do so bad. Like, I wasn't supposed to, but I visited my brother a few times. He lives in Gatineau and, he's got a yard and a pool. And yeah, man, it's not so bad as it is in the city. I tell you that. And I can't imagine being in a high-rise building.
Last summer, did you do any backyard comedy shows?
I did. Yeah. I did a few of those. They were fun. We did backyard, we did front yard, we did front driveway. I did a few of those shows. Did what I could, man. I did when the pandemic hit, I was with those.
Oh, you were outside the SAQ. I remember.
We went outside an SAQ. We just stood because there was speaking of queue, there was a queue for the liquor store. For those of the people that don't know what an SAQ is, there's a liquor store in Quebec. And the freaking lineup, lineup was 40 people long. So we just brought a portable speaker and freaking set up a mic stand. And we did a show to the lineup of people, which was insane. And it had an opportunity to actually be a pretty cool thing. And I think I did just about every one that Paul Silverman set up. And every time it was done, I told Paul, I'm never doing that again. Because those other kids didn't. Yeah, well, I needed the fix. I absolutely did. But it didn't scratch the itch. It really didn't, but it did a little bit, just enough. But what I was upset with was the other kids. He's bringing up open micer kids, and then they're saying piss, fuck, shit, cunt, and N words. What did you just say? I don't care if you're black. Just like, we're in public at 5 o'clock right now. Like, tone it down, everybody. Like, look at the tits on I was like, you guys, what are you doing? Like, what are we? We're not in a comedy club.
Oh, Andrew, you're such a prude.
No, not at all, man. That's 5 p.m. in the bright daylight. And, like there was a little lady and a baby walking by. Like, chill out, man. Yeah. Like, just let's have some fun and make it fun. And I felt that a lot of people just took it as like, it's an open mic night. I'm going to be edgy. It was like, no, it's 5 o'clock on Sherbrooke Street. Like, chill out. But I had as much fun as I could with those. But I swear to God, I did say I have the email proof of that shit. I've like, that's the last time there, Paul. I think you got to pull the reins on those kids, because that was nonsense. I don't want to be involved. I don't want my name involved with that shit.
All right, we've run over an hour already. Yeah. It's been so fun to chat with you. Your website is andrewalbert.info, which you're going to probably update sometime.
I need to update it bad.
You've had the time to do it, but you get the 2 CDs out there. Your website says you can get an autographed version of Warning Canadian
sure
Content.
Can.
And
Guns and Yoga,
Guns and Yoga, which is the new one. And you have another one that the radio edit's about to be retitled.
It's going to be called Filthy Clean.
Filthy Clean. Clean.
Filthy Clean.
That's going to come out. If anyone wants to support this channel or check out the other channels I do, the link is running in the bottom there. And I'm just going to put this out so people can find you on Facebook as well. Yeah,
you can find me there. And then I'll update the other shit later. I'm terrible with social media.
So that's Filthy Clean is the new CD that'll be coming out hopefully before
hopefully Canada Day. Hopefully before Canada Day.
And this has been They Talk Funny. My guest Andrew Albert, comedian, actor, writer, sommelier. It's just the whole deal, the big package, the
Renaissance
big package. That's right up there with calling you ruggedly handsome.
Right on.
Renaissance.
It's been fun. Nice to talk to you, Paul. It's been a long time, man. Like, miss you, buddy.
It has. I don't know. This week it seems like my hair just went like a shade redder, and I'm not.
It does look very red.
Yeah,
and kind of like a little. It's because you have a backdrop, right? You have like a green screen.
Yes, I do.
Because it almost looks like, what it almost looks like? Gene Hackman. It's like that.
Third time this week that's been said.
It's Gene Hackman and like younger Gene Hackman, like French Connection, exactly.
Yeah. So that's it. I'm aspiring to be with the gray. You aspiring to be a
could only be so lucky.
Yeah, he got an Oscar for French Connection.
Yeah, he's amazing.
Boom.
Great actor.
So, everybody who's out there, thank you very much for tuning in. If you're watching it on the replay, please remember to hit like, hit subscribe so you know when the new videos are coming out. Next week will be the 50th episode of They Talk Funny, and my guest will be Ben Miner. So Ben Miner will be coming onto the show. to talk about comedy, to talk about internet comedy, of course, Sirius XM, and the future of comedy online and in Canada.
Shout
Ciao.
out to Ben.